Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
A new day, a new week on Primetime Local News. Josh Ryan, Abby St. John. Bit of a relaxing weekend after the busyness of Colonial Days last week, but still plenty going on in the border city, even though the sports scene has slowed down. And now it's really a lot of vacation plans for most people.
Yeah, and I think, once the fair is out of the way, you still have most of July and all of August to be able to go camping or go on those long trips and stuff like that. And so I think summer is definitely in the mentality of most people.
And we've had some summer weather, so we can officially say summer arrived. Let's check in with Eric Bay and see how he's enjoying summer finally being here.
Thanks, guys. Well, today we are over at Lakeland College, where they are going to be putting on some sports camps here throughout the summer, and their first one is currently ongoing. That is their basketball and soccer split camp that has started today and will be running here throughout the rest of the week. And we're going to be talking with Chris King a little bit about these camps, what the kids will get into, and maybe if you do want to check it out here in the rest of the summer, those other ones, how you can get involved with that. So we're going to have all that and more from here throughout the show. But first, we're going to go back to the studio where Abby has a look at your local news.
Thanks, Eric. Well, Colonial Days 2019 is now all wrapped up. The fair was a huge success once again, with the numbers rising from years past. This was one of the biggest Colonial Days yet. Good weather was on their side, and with the new promotion they offered this year instead of sneak a peek, it helped raise the attendance numbers.
We had great attendance, we had great weather. We had some amazing activities for people to do through the whole thing. I would say our overall attendance has increased fairly significantly, at least about a 10% increase. We did a Canadian Tire worked with us and did a family day, and we had lots of people really come in and support that promotion.
This year's fair saw an increase of the amount of rides and different forms of entertainment offered, which was another success.
We had 4 new rides, and we actually changed the layout of the Midway, so it was different, which people really loved. The Ferris wheel was put right at the front of the Midway and kind of drew people in. We had a packed grandstand for almost every single thing we did, so the demo derby, the bull riding, and then our concerts. They were just packed, people dancing down in the sand, people having a good time.
They also say they had great success with the new Extreme Dog Show as well as the agricultural shows inside the X. Wisdom and knowledge in agriculture is gathered by older generations and passed down to the ones that follow. In the next 10 to 15 years in North America, 70% of agricultural operations will be transitioning to the next generation, a big pivot that can be concerning to farmers across the country.
We need to start having those important conversations first.
Rotary members gathered at the Lloyd X to discuss succession planning. The plan urges the passing of agricultural knowledge and operations to the next generation through a smart and safe process. The passing of the torch needs to start somewhere.
The first point is sitting down and figuring out, what is best for our future, for our operation. Because let's face it, everybody's unique in their operations. We need to tweak it to our own situation.
Kelly also emphasized self-reflection in order to experience continued success and growth.
A big issue these days is the trade piece of it. In Canada, we're really dependent on our exports. And so when I try to think it back, getting back to our very own operation and thinking about, what are our strengths, what are our weaknesses, opportunities and threats.
To learn more about beginning the transition process within your family, go to holisticmanagement.org. Summer is here and vampire bugs are back to return of the seasonal tick crisis. Many people have heard about the damage that ticks cause. Not all ticks cause adverse effects, but there are some types to look out for.
Only few ticks are harmful, which is called the deer ticks, wood ticks. These are the two major ones who cause the harmless. Otherwise, if you do have a tick, you do not have to be worried about unless some symptoms will show up on your body, such as a red bump surrounded by the red rashes, like it's a bullseye.
Children are the most likely to be affected. Luckily, there are a variety of ways to treat bites.
The children, when they are going outside and when they come home, I would highly recommend the parents to check it out, particularly that scalp area, behind the necks, and all this area, like something, make sure that it's eyebrow, eyelashes, and everything's like that. Make sure they do not have a tick. If you have a headache, you can take a Tylenol. If you feel like a muscle and joint pain, then you can take anti-inflammatory, analgesic like that. If no improvement, seek the pharmacist's attentions right away. They recommend something to you. If those doesn't improve, then I would recommend you then run to the doctor.
There are a few steps you can take to protect yourself from the blood-sucking bite.
Use some insect repellent when you go outside. Use long sleeve shirts, long pads, tuck into that one. Avoid to go to those wooden area, and if you know that one, use some insect repellents to that area, so make sure that will be tick, anything will be go died and everything before you go and play.
If you find a tick, remove it from close to the skin, put it in a bag, and bring it to your local veterinarian clinic. The cleanup continues in west central Saskatchewan after a storm packing 100-kilometer-per-hour winds and large hail slammed the region Sunday night.
Oh my gosh! Oh my goodness!
In Elbow, Saskatchewan, 130 kilometers south of Saskatoon, hail as small as eggs and as large as tennis balls caused extensive damage to cars and homes. One resident telling CTV News it was the worst storm to hit the region in decades. To the west of Eston, the town had to activate its emergency plan. Damage was so bad that some residents were forced from their homes. Sask Power says electricity likely won't be restored until sometime later today. The Lloyd X has been used as a place to hold a number of different events for people and organizations for years. 10 years ago, they broke ground and expanded. In this week's retrospect, we take a look at how the expansion has improved the way the Lloyd X runs.
With that, ground was officially broken on a major renovation for the Lloydminster Exhibition Grounds.
This three-way partnership between the Government of Canada, the Government of Alberta, and the Lloydminster Agriculture Exhibition Association will enable us to enhance our facilities for our whole community.
The $5.5 million expansion will see almost 25,000 square feet of space added to the facility, including a new banquet room, concessions, and a brand new entranceway.
It's a great expansion, and I mean, every year it seems like the Lloydminster Exhibition Association does more, and this facility expansion will just allow it to do even more in the future. It's not only important to the city of Lloydminster, it's important to the whole area.
Flash forward to today, and since expanding the Lloyd X by adding a new entranceway, it has changed the feel and look of the building.
All we had for an entranceway was a nicely decorated entry, but it was just two doors. Here we have this beautiful high peak roof. It's a focal point to the main entrance to the office. It matches our agriculture base, look. It just added a whole new feel and more professionalism and eye appeal to the whole complex.
They also added more dining halls, which has increased the amount of events and meetings that take place at the X.
We're having a lot more smaller meetings, smaller social, smaller functions. Like these rooms can hold anywhere from 25 up to 200 people. So it just gives that much more opportunity for people to utilize these rooms for their smaller type functions, or even a nice compact meeting, seminar, small weddings. And they're beautiful rooms. The concourse is gorgeous. It's an amazing addition to our facilities.
The expansion was an opportunity to give the building a facelift it needed so that more events could be accommodated for.
It was time that we needed to add a few more rooms to our needs, because it was busier. There was lots of more people looking for smaller type spaces. It gives us a chance to do a facelift on the front side of our complex, which again made it more professional and eye appealing, and just it focuses your attention to where you need to enter our complex.
There aren't any current plans to make any more expansions as of yet. And that's it for this week's Retrospect.
Retrospect this week is brought to you by Webb's Ford. Worth your while to drive the extra mile. Webb's Ford in Vermilion.
And now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Lakeland College where they are continuing their basketball and soccer camp, and Chris King joins me now. So can you tell us, a little bit about what the kids are going to be doing here over the next few days?
Yeah, really exciting time for us. We have our first dual sport camp, so they're doing soccer in the morning, basketball in the evenings. So a lot of these kids, it's their first camp experience, first time kind of away from home for the whole day. So we expect them to be tired, but it's a really great intro to sport and really sport for life situation.
And you mentioned that intro to sport as these kids are fairly young. So what's the importance of introducing them to those sports at a younger age here?
Yeah, I think just getting them to try as many sports as possible. So our big thing is body function, body awareness. Yes, they're learning basketball skills and soccer skills, but we want them to be active. And in the summer, it's really easy for these kids to just stay at home. So it's really nice to see a bunch of these K through 6 kids out here wanting to get better and participate in basketball.
Yeah, you mentioned that exercise, staying active here as well. So what are maybe some of the activities they will be doing here as they progress over the next few days?
Yeah, so on our side on the basketball, we'll be doing basic skills and we'll be advancing to like small-sided games, teaching them a little bit of spacing and cutting concepts. But at the younger group, it's more about having fun and getting those basic fundamentals for when they get into junior high so that they're ahead of the curve when they go for their first tryouts and stuff like that.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much. We are going to have some more back from here, again, talking about the basketball and soccer camp that is taking part here at Lakeland College over the next few days. But first, we're going to go back into the studio.
Always great to see our friend Chris King out at Lakeland College. 22 degrees right now in the border city. Again, a mix of sun and cloud, which is largely what we've experienced this past week, working out well for Colonial Days, obviously, when we initially forecasted plenty of cloud cover and some precipitation, maybe thunder showers as well. 30 degrees was the record for this day back in 2002, just +4 in 2009. A lot of +4s in early July in this city's history. Northwest winds around 16 kilometers at the moment. We've had some gusts in the 20-kilometer range. We shouldn't get anything more extreme than that. However, we still have an outside chance of a thunderstorm this evening if cloud cover picks up. That has been in effect for basically all throughout the prairies, particularly in the Lakeland region and north of Edmonton, as you can see on this map. Going to the other side, North Battleford, Maidstone, very heavy cloud cover. Keep an eye on watches and warnings and alerts there. Current temperatures 21 degrees in Red Deer, 24 in Edmonton. It's also 23 out in Jasper, 21 in both Edson and in Whitecourt. Similar temperatures on the Sask side with Saskatoon at 24 degrees, Prince Albert and Melfort at 22, 21 in Meadow Lake, North Battleford sitting at 20 degrees. That also goes for Cold Lake and the Lakeland area. 20 degrees is the expected high as well tomorrow here in Lloydminster with a low of 11, and we are expecting heavy cloud cover as well, a 60+% chance of precipitation there. 23 and 10 on Wednesday with largely sunny skies, then 17 and 13 on Thursday where there is going to be some sunlight but a strong chance of rain, maybe thunderstorms as well there. The wind shifting to the east over the next couple of days could shift back to the northwest by Thursday, and we could get gusts in the 20-kilometer range, hence some of those storm warnings. We'll have your 7-day as well as more weather later on in the show.
Welcome back. Well, the Ontario government has launched a marketing campaign in support of the province's beef and pork producers hurt by China's ban on Canadian meat products. The campaign through Foodland Ontario encourages consumers to show their support for farmers by buying Ontario beef and pork. Provincial Agriculture Minister Ernie Hardman is also encouraging Ontario restaurants to bolster the use of local meats in menu planning. Hardman says Ontario is working with the federal government, other provinces, and Ontario's beef and pork sectors to ensure the province's meat products have fair access to markets while also exploring support that can be provided to farmers. And now we're going to take a look at your egg prices.
We're a part of less than 5% of Canadian auto body shops and Lloydminster's only locations with certified collision care recognition at City Centre Auto Body.
The Colonial Day festivities here in Lloydminster got a little rougher Friday night as professional bull riding hit the Lloyd X grounds as part of the Canadian Touring Pro Division. The PBR event saw some of the nation's top riders put on a show for the locals, and our Josh Park was there to take in the action.
They call it the toughest 8 seconds in sports. To someone that's never taken in a bull riding event before, it could come as a bit of a shock. From the Bucks to the bull rushes. It's an event built for adrenaline seekers to watch and adrenaline junkies to ride. The danger of hopping on a 2,000-pound bucking bull speaks for itself.
They're modern-day gladiators, and without a word of a lie, anybody could die at any time. Quite frankly, they're here to watch them do battle against four-legged 2,000-pound beasts, and that's what draws the people in.
The reason for the high-flying bull riding here in the border city? Well, it was all part of the PBR Canadian Touring Pro Division. Riders from Canada and across the world jockeyed for points atop the world and Canadian rankings and a cash prize. But, of course, it wasn't all buck-offs. The goal for the riders, last 8 seconds on top of the bull, which some of the best were able to do.
Come on, ready, go ahead. Let's do number 2. What do you say, Lowell? Can we go 2 for 10?
This is Professional Bull Rider Canada. This is world-class sporting event. You see it on TV, you see it all over the place. People are coming to see their stars, especially those guys from Canada that they've seen.
Some of the elite riders that took on the stock of local bulls included Sunnybrook, Alberta product Shea Marks, Aaron Roy from Yellowgrass, Saskatchewan, and a man with over $330,000 in winnings, Dakota Butter. But those men fell short to the event's winner, a rider from Paris, Tennessee, with over $1.6 million in career winnings. Cody Nance was the event's champion, and we'll take a closer look at his 2 full rides and how he fell in love with bull riding tomorrow. For now, the battle between bull and rider will take a pause until the action-filled sport hits the X once again. Josh Park, Primetime Local Sports.
Teams always hope to end their season in a bang rather than a whimper. However, that wasn't the case for the Prairie Pirates in their final home games. This followed previous disappointment for the team, who were eliminated from playoff contention weeks ago. The Pirates were blown out by the Saskatoon Diamondbacks during their Sunday series, including a 17-0 in ladder contest. The players and coaches both acknowledged the squad wasn't mentally prepared for the day.
No one's really into the game. I mean, it sucks. Everyone wants to go out there and win, but just didn't show up today.
The Pirates have one more series tomorrow evening, a rematch with the D-backs in Saskatoon, where Coach Dylan Flash hopes they can find motivation.
Just play for each other the last 2 days. We got 2 grade 12s moving on, going to college ball, so just play for them. That's the last 2 games they'll play as Pirates, so might as well get 2 wins out of it.
I mean, you go into the last games, it's the last games of the season, so you may as well just play for your pride and for yourself to end it on a good note.
Game times are noon and 3 p.m. tomorrow. This is the first season in which the Pirates cannot drop down to compete at AA Provincials. Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Lakeland College, checking out their soccer and basketball camp that will be going on over here for the next few days with the younger kids, and Chris King joins you once again. So can you talk about the importance of you guys just teaching these guys a little bit about and maybe getting them interested into these sports?
I think that's one of the things as a college is we really try to do community pieces, and this is a big chunk for us, getting our athletes to give back to the community. Obviously, at this age, you never know what's going to happen with kids, but anything to keep them out of trouble, especially during the summer months, but also learning a little bit about what we do and what the soccer program does. And hopefully, you know, some of these kids become Rustler fans and support our teams in the future.
And what's the response been like from the kids so far? I know obviously today's day 1, but it's looking pretty full in here. So can you talk about that response?
Yeah, it's crazy in here. Great response. Half the kids are doing both camps, and then we have about 15 or 16 doing soccer only or basketball only. So we really like what we saw, especially at this younger age group. We know that kids are trying a wide sampling of sports. So this is a unique offering of Lloydminster and something that seems to be successful.
And now you mentioned some of your players will be coming by later to help coach. So what's the importance of also getting them involved and maybe giving these kids somebody to look up to?
Yeah, I think a big part of what we do at Rustler Athletics is support the community. So with them being on the floor, we like to do these basketball camps. So later on today, our Australian will be helping out, and we'll have a couple other girls coming in throughout the week.
And now we did talk about that response so far today, but how does that compare to maybe years past and what it's been like from the community coming out to these camps?
For this age group, phenomenal, and we've been very lucky with the support we get from Lloyd, and that's one of the pros of Lakeland is we have a great community atmosphere, so we're very thankful for the support we get.
All right, thank you so much for joining us once again. We're going to have some more back from here again, talking about the soccer and basketball camp that is going on here throughout the week, but before that, we are going to go back into the studio.
Looks like a fun time out at that gym. One more look again at satellite and radar from earlier today. You can see that cold front pushing the low pressure system in from the north. Heavy cloud cover there, some making its way into Edmonton, plenty making its way into the Battlefords region, and we'll see more cloud cover over the next couple of days. A look at wind chill here, as you can see by the thermometer on the top of the screen. That's showing the amount of effect of the wind chill of the wind, and it's not too bad. It's only losing a couple of degrees because of wind, as we're having relatively calm winds in the big scheme of things around 15, 20 kilometers. So that should continue as well for the next couple of days. Gusts, we'll see if that changes anything at all. Next 24 hours, temperatures are going to drop. We're going to get down into the low teens once again, but a relatively warm evening overall, not getting any colder than 11 degrees, and by about 10 p.m. we'll be right at 10 a.m. rather, we'll be at 18 degrees, into the 20s by noon, and into the low 20s over the course of the day. Now current temperatures: Vermilion 22 degrees, Vegreville at 21, 17 in St. Paul, 22 up north in Bonnyville, and 21 in Lac-La-Biche. Edmonton 24 degrees, and again consistent temperatures. We often get warmer on the Sask side, a little cooler on the Alberta side, but Isle of Cross holding steady at 21 degrees, 20 in Meadow Lake, as well as in St. Walburg, 21 in Maidstone, and 20 in North Battleford, where they're experiencing again a mixture of sun and cloud. Should be the same over the course of the evening, minus the sun, of course. West-southwest winds will move to the north, then to the east-southeast by tomorrow. They are expecting a little bit of rainfall with some cloud cover there. East-southeast winds around 9-10 kilometers. So again, not strong gusts there, a high of 20 for the afternoon. That is the current temperature in Cold Lake at the moment, with northeast winds relatively calm there. North-northwest overnight for the wind direction, and south-southeast tomorrow afternoon, where again it'll be relatively calm winds. A low of 12 expected overnight with a fairly clear skies, some clouds, and then 23 tomorrow, a chance of rain there, but a mix of sun and cloud throughout the day. Now 22 in Lloydminster with a low of 11 overnight. The northwest winds will shift to the east by tomorrow and will start to come down. We've had some gusts in the 16 to 18 kilometer range, some near 20, but that will calm down and we should get below or slower than 10 kilometer gusts tomorrow. 20 is the high for tomorrow, with again an expected rainfall amidst a lot of cloud cover, a low of 11 overnight. And look throughout the rest of the region there, you can see 20s throughout most of the region, some around 19, 18 degrees. 23 on Wednesday, a low of 10, then 17 on Thursday, a low of 13, 17 Friday, 18 Saturday, 23 Sunday, and a nice warm sunny Monday expected at 24 degrees, which is what we want to see around this time of the year.
Now we're going to Eric Bay, who is on location today.
Once again, we are back here at Lakeland College, where today we've been talking about the girls and boys soccer and basketball camp that will be going on here throughout the week. And Chris King joins you once again. And now this is the first of a few camps you guys will be putting on. So can you tell us about those other ones coming up?
Yeah, busy summer for us. Our next two camps are 6 to 12 camps. So one in July next week, and then end of August we have one. So last year we had such a big turnout for our August camp. We kind of needed to split that out because basketball is growing, and hopefully we get a little bit of the Raptor effect here this year, and it continues to climb.
No, definitely, for sure. Now, if people do want to sign up for that one still too, how can they do so for that?
Yeah, they can find us on the Lakeland website, gorustlers.ca. They can sign up there. They can contact myself via email or cell phone, also on the Rustlers website. But we still have room. We still have shirts available.
And now you did mention that Raptor effect. So as a basketball coach, have you kind of seen that maybe again with the youth, as the Raptors did do so well this year, that kind of growth here in Canada?
Yeah, I kind of saw throughout the year running the youth basketball in town. You could see that it's pretty good numbers for turnout. I expect that we're going to have more kids playing next year. And anytime you have something exciting like that, like when the Jays won the World Series, baseball really boomed in Canada. So I think you'll see that in our local area. And this isn't a traditional basketball market, but it's starting to grow a little bit more. So we're very excited about that.
And now you are taking part in this camp and also another one coming up here. So maybe just tell us a little bit, maybe what's your favorite part of doing this and getting out to help out the kids here?
Yeah, my favorite part is seeing the smiling faces on the kids. I think the parents' favorite part is probably having an exhausted kid go to bed early, but we just like seeing them have fun and enjoy the game. And really that's what it's all about. It's a sport for life.
And now then, just real quick, what would you say is maybe the best part for these kids? If there's one thing that they had to definitely come here check out, what would that be?
I think getting to compete with the college players and doing drills with college players, I think.
All right, thank you so much for doing this once again, and have a good time the rest of the way.
Thank you.
We're going to have some more back from here, talking again about the camps that the Lakeland Wrestlers will be putting on here throughout the summer. But before that, we're going to go back into the studio.
Plenty of responses today for question of the day, so people are we're not the only ones, I guess, that are looking forward onto the calendar for that next big date now that Colonial Days is out of the way. Crystal Dawn McDonald, her circle date is all of next week as she's doing a camping trip next week. Also on here, Anita Seabree, who we've interviewed her daughters in the past for their kickboxing prowess. They are in fact going to Muay Thai Nationals in a couple of weeks. So they've got that entire week as well circled down. And Charlotte J. McKay, a story I'm sure many people are familiar, or have a similar story rather, daughter's wedding. So a lot of wedding dates still circled on the next couple of weeks.
Well, summer is a big time for weddings, so it's no shock that people are looking forward to doing weddings because that's just a popular summer occasion.
Yeah, and it's also an excuse to kind of get away from the routine, spend a whole week doing various activities that can exhaust oneself.
Oh, definitely, and you know, weddings are all different for everybody, so it's nice to, you know, get together and celebrate love.
Yeah, and see, well, I guess it's certainly never a bad thing to celebrate love.
Yes.
Absolutely. Something that many people love, in fact, is our Pet of the Day segment. So let's jump right into that and celebrate how cute these puppies and kitties are. That's Abby.
Yeah,
So
I feel like I can relate to her personality just a little bit, just by the way she's laying. Love it. Very cute.
They named her correctly then.
Yeah.
Chloe, submitted by Lorraine.
I love when dogs are wearing people clothes, so I love this picture and how she's wearing a dress. I love it.
Definitely ready for a dance there. Hank, we don't get a lot of horses on the program, so thank you, Kenna.
But a great name for any animal, especially for a horse. I love it.
A lot of H names with horses.
Yeah.
Thea is absolutely enjoying the summertime. Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, obviously loves running in the grass. An amazing picture. Like, it's great that you were able to capture that moment because it's amazing.
And finally, Milo, thank you, Sherry.
Very, very adorable cat.
And don't forget, anytime you submit pet and their name, you can win a free gift card from PetPad.
We want to see your pets. Send photos of your pet and their name to our Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram to have them featured on Pet of the Day. Your name will be entered into a weekly draw for a gift certificate from the PetPad.
In studio with me is Rod Shoplin, the president of the Lloydminster Tennis Association. It's been a busy year, buffeted a little bit by both weather and construction, unfortunately for you guys in Bud Miller.
Certainly has. We had a really good lesson program. We managed to finish that in good time, but in between some of the rains. But ever since that, it's been raining off and on, and now we're trying to renovate the courts, and it has been a battle.
How long has that been coming, the renovation of these courts? Because obviously you guys are blessed now having the extra courts that's allowed you to have this renovation take place.
Usually it's between 5 and 7 years. They do a new coat on top. Tom Coat usually does that.
Okay, and that's obviously necessary for next year because you'll have the summer games in town. You need all the courts ready to go.
Absolutely, we want to have the courts in pristine condition, and they were due. It worked out well because this was the year to do it anyway.
And now, because we talked about this one last year, certainly when we headed into the Paul Douglas tournament, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks, but having these 2 extra courts now has allowed you to not only weather the storm with this construction and with some of the bad weather as well, just having those extra 2 courts people can play on, but also it's going to allow you to expand some of your tournament play.
It really helped our tournament this past year, the Paul Douglas. We added an extra event. Actually, both our tournaments, we added an extra event. So that makes a big change for us, especially for the upcoming tournament, the Border City. We put a 3.0 in, which is the kind of the beginner players and the players that, you know, are just starting to play and they've been playing a year or two, and we allow them an area in there, and that has been good. And then for the Paul Douglas, splitting up the 4.5 and the 4.0 has really drawn a lot of interest.
Now, really quickly, just for folks who are not familiar with tennis affiliations, describe the difference between 3.0 and 4.0.
Well, 3.0 is, you know, a player that can hit the ball and play a little bit of tennis, and then you get to a 3.5. Well, they're consistently rallying pretty good level of play, and then get into the 4.0, and then you're hitting a lot harder, and then the 4.5 guys are hitting really hard. Serves are hard. It's pretty good, very, very competitive.
And that's kind of just the next step after that is to the amateur pro kind of level or the pro level?
There's the 5.0 and then the open, yes.
And have you've had any 5.0 players yet in Lloydminster?
We've had a few come in and play some of our tournaments, but unfortunately they don't come back because it's not a competitive thing for them. 4.5 is a pretty good level for most of Saskatchewan anyway, and for us especially.
And now, what are some of the players that will be ones to look out for? As we said before, the Border City tournament, the 5th annual, is coming up this weekend. So that's just Saturday, Sunday, or Friday, Saturday, Sunday?
Depends on the amount of entries. We kind of hope to start Friday evening, depending on the weather, of course.
And then how many people are you looking at that in terms of 4.0, 4.5 players?
I think we'll probably have about 8 of the 4.5 players, maybe 7. And then the 4.0, and if there's enough to split them up, there'll be another same amount, about 8 in the 4.0.
Yeah. And how many on the youth side of things participate in this particular tournament?
This is the first time we've offered it under 18, and we've only have, I think, 1 or 2 entries, so I'm not sure. It's a thing that, I don't know, the youth usually play in the 3.0, the younger guys that come in and play with us, but for the higher level, there is not a lot of that in Saskatchewan at all. They play basically in Regina and Saskatoon.
Yeah, and of course, we do have a couple of days to add to that total as the Border City 5th annual tournament will take place again this weekend.
Hey, it's Scott Mitchell from Boom 103.5 and Rail Country 97.7, and here's what's happening in the Lac La Biche and St. Paul areas. The Town of St. Paul FCSS department is going to be hosting various summer activities between 2 and 4 p.m. twice per week, starting this week. In particular, they're going to be at Wheeler Park on Thursday and Spring Creek Park on Friday, and there's going to be like various different themes involved with some of these days, so you never know exactly what's going to happen. It's designed for ages 7 to 14, although those 7 and under can be accompanied by an adult to this event. And if you want more details, you can check out the FCSS Facebook page. The 9th annual Athabasca County Fly-In is going to be happening at the Athabasca Airport coming up on Saturday from 11 till 2. There will be a kids puppet show, a car show, as well as various trailers and displays, an acrobatics display, as well as helicopter rides even that you can get for $75 per person for a 10-minute ride. If you want to get all the details, it's over at athabascacounty.com. And Lac La Biche County Libraries is once again hosting the TD Summer Reading Club, and registration is now well underway. You can pick up the full registration package at the Stuart McPherson branch, that is the main branch next to the Bold Center, or you can also go and fill out the convenient form online at llbcl.ca. It is posted right there, and there's also going to be various events happening throughout the summer months that have to do with the TD Summer Reading Club, so you might want to check those out. For more details, you can call 623-7467. And if you have an event you would like us to feature on What's Happening, you can let us know 1 week in advance through our websites, realcountrystpaul.ca or boom1035.com.
Back in studio with President Rod Shopland of the Tennis Association here in Lloydminster. We were talking a little bit in the last segment about the 5th annual Border City Tournament. And you, of course, have the Paul Douglas Tournament, the 28th annual, coming up in the second week of August. You also have a very big event that has been planned for the last couple of months, certainly almost years, which is the 2020 Summer Games. Tennis will be a big part of that in Bud Miller, and you are the chairperson, I believe, for the event, sort of in terms of the local chair committee and such with Lloydminster.
That's correct, yes.
And so what have you done so far in terms of the planning for that, and how much more work is ahead of you?
Well, we're pretty fortunate here in Lloyd because we have 6 lit courts, which I think we're one of the first places that has hosted that has had that. I know Sask Tennis is very happy with our tennis venue, and we have very little to do. We just have to bring in some chairs and some seating and train up a few umpires and things like that. And getting these courts refinished was a big thing for us, and we're well on our way. Our part of the venue is I think, pretty well finished.
Yeah, I guess you could say that it would have been tough to schedule everything in without the new courts. Certainly, obviously, you need the refurbishing of the courts, but also without the 2 courts that were added recently, you couldn't necessarily host as many athletes to do the
That's
event.
correct, yeah. It just takes longer to push them all through, and longer days, and this way it'll be easier, because if the days are hot, which we kind of hope they are, we're nice and warm, you know, but it takes a toll on the players as well, from morning till evening.
For the medal games that will happen around the end of the 2020 games, when the athletes get to those final games, will you have them all scheduled around the same time? Could you bring in bleachers to kind of make it a bigger event? How do you plan on moving about that?
I do believe that we're going to have more bleachers in there, and definitely, it's all scheduled out already. Sask Summer Games is very, very organized.
So what's the next step for you then? Is it working on the club side of things and working with the kids to make sure they're prepared in terms of the local athletes that will compete?
Yes, we'll be bringing our kids up to speed. We've been working with them a little bit this year, and next year will be a big push to work with the guys and guys and girls, and get them prepared.
Are there any particular athletes on the male or female side of things that you're looking forward to watching or seeing their growth that plan on competing next year? That could be competing perhaps this weekend or in August?
We're very fortunate. It's limited to anybody that's 14 and under as of January this coming year. So we have a couple of kids that we've been working a little bit with, and it'll be a playoff next year. It'll be just to see who comes through, you know, the cream of the crop. But yeah, we've got a lot of players that can play in those games.
Okay. Now, growth of tennis is something that's kind of seen a real burst in the last couple of years. Certainly when Milos Raonic had his kind of ascendance into being a top 10 player, that changed things. Also Eugenie Bouchard, her run at Wimbledon, and now you see young guys like Denis Shapovalov and such. Had a kind of a tough go at Wimbledon. How much of the growth in the sport is kind of based on whether or not it's popular or whether or not athletes are succeeding at the professional level, do you think?
Well, I'm not sure, but it sure isn't hurting anything to have Canadian stars up there, and this is the first time. Like, I think we've got 3 guys right now in
top 30.
Top 30, if I'm not mistaken, and with Bianca, she's I think 21 or 22. I'm not sure.
Right, she's in the top. Oh, actually, yes, she is. She was in the top 20, but has dropped out just because of missing some tournaments.
Yes, and you know, you can't fault them for not doing that well at Wimbledon, because playing on a grass court is a little different than, like Canadian, we're normally hard court people, so.
Yeah, it's definitely an adjustment of surface. Thanks once again for stopping in. Don't forget, folks, the Border City Tournament, the 5th annual, takes place this weekend. You can still register. Where should they go if they want to join in?
You can go to our website, lloydtennis.ca, or the numbers and everything are on there. So you can either call me or send an email to the website, or to the whatever is listed on there, the email listed.
Well, if you want your chance to compete, it's still open for you over the course of this weekend.